So there's been a lot of theories going around about who the mole is within the Z team, and I wanted to talk about it. I thought it'd be fun to see your guys' opinion and kind of just workshop and yap about it. We have a little bit of a discussion in the comment section. Today will be a little bit of Judo Detecto, because there is a lot of interesting theories to sift through. If you're going to be one of those people that go, well, how do you figure there's a snitch in the group? You're delusional. That don't make sense. There's a snitch and announce it, and the game devs didn't say it, and it ain't. Well, Hillbilly Boy, let me tell you a few reasons. First off, they're all villains. That should be your number one. Pretty much all of them have ties to some sort of gang. And Invisigal has literally ties to the Shroud gang. Example, she got attacked by them in the bar. Thirdly, maybe, Punch-Up literally mentions how he doesn't even want this job and he has to do it anyway. So maybe that's more common than not within all the villains, or I guess heroes now. But what would you do if you were behind enemy lines against your will? Yeah, you're probably going to tell your homies, hey, this is what they're doing. If you think about it, why else would the entire squadron of villains know where to go to steal the Titanfall power cell from that warehouse? It had to be somebody in the same room as the Z team when they were discussing getting the pulse back. So how would they know? Yeah, they would have figured it out eventually, I'm sure of it. But not every single damn villain in the county in the same night they had the party is just a little too coincidental. If you have doubts that there's somebody informing Shroud, then hopefully that cleared the air. But if you don't think there's an informant still, and you want to go in my comment section talking about, well, you guys are crazy, man, for thinking you can't marry your sister. It's under pre-sanctioned law 1785. Just get out. I don't want to hear it. Don't like the theories, then you ain't got to watch. So anyways, let's go down the line of members in the Z team, including the ones laid off due to budget cuts, starting with Coop and or Sonar, depending on who you boot. Now, this is going to be my own theory. Going to be kind of meh. Could be somewhere else in the internet, and I just don't know about them, so hopefully I'm not claiming game and saying, oh, it's mine, when it's not. I've only heard it from me, though, so give me a little bit of slack. First off, whoever you fired obviously couldn't get the intel. They wouldn't be around to get the intel. So how on God's green earth would they know anything? They're companions. Coop has Punch-Up as her, companion with Synergy, and Sonar has Mal as his companion. And in my mind, if my favorite coworker got fired, yeah, that would be rightful grounds for someone to act out and go, "Fa!" and snitch. This really isn't backed up very well because honestly, regardless if you get rid of Sonar or not, Mal always warms up to you. She kind of doesn't really do anything shady at all other than some sexual misconduct against Robert on the occasion. Punch-Up holds a grudge for 10 minutes and then honestly, he does not care. He starts to like Robert too. They both become a fan of Robert immediately when they find out that you are Mecha Man, so that's another thing. Mecha Man must have some pull because they all sent for him. And again, even if you don't tell them till Chase blurts out like a moron at that party, they still kind of warm up to you and like you anyway. How did no one connect the fact that he has a big hunk out of his ear? Like Telltale Batman. I understand he's in the mecha suit most of the time, but in press conferences and stuff, really, you don't know. The only person to decipher the fact that he's Mecha Man is Prism because she's the only one wanting everyone to pay up so bad when you're Mecha Man and you're showing off your suit. But I'll talk about her later because I'm going to get a little deeper into that. I could see Sonar maybe snitching because he would be feeding some sort of addiction. I mean, he's got issues canonically. I mean, he's even more of a Jesse Pinkman type than Robert, and Robert's literally voiced by Aaron Paul. That's something to take into account. But again, I don't think it's that because, again, if you pick Coop, she's not like that. If the different characters you picked changed how the game ended, it would have to be interchangeable. So I don't see them doing that because it would make such vast different endings. And I think that would be interesting if it did it that way, but I just don't think they really wanted to dump that much time into making that such a big decision. But it would be a good way of getting more people to pick Coop because, honestly, everyone picked Sonar to, keep. Anyways, moving on to Flambe. Surprisingly, I can say with a decent amount of confidence that it's not him. I saw him as a Micah type of character with no connection to the team from the jump. I thought he was going to be the one to snitch because he's always a snarky, smart aleck that's mean to everybody else, quiet, unless he can talk smack about somebody. He's just the number one worst guy on the team. This is only further proven at the burger place when he tries to ignite Robert into flames. I mean, he hates Mecha Man. He doesn't care about this team dynamic that they have going on because I feel like he's just a loner. He seems more of the loner bonus type than Invisigal, and she gets a bonus for going alone on missions. But in my mind, he doesn't seem the type to be on any team. If you really think about it, he's a loner regardless of the type of team. I can't imagine him working for villains, gangs, squads, whatever. He just doesn't fit in. Maybe that's my mistake for misreading him. If he's the one that's the snitch, then, strike me down. But he seems like he may turn into a good guy right at the end. Yeah, he right-handed Robert clean to the chin like Dustin Poirier at the end of that party, but he was like, okay, we're cool now. And he wasn't at the party. He wasn't at the party to get the information about the pulse, so how could he have told everybody, hey, the pulse is in this direction? He would have to be working with somebody else in order to have that information. It would have to be two different moles. So he's kind of crossed out of my mind. He wasn't even at the Diddy party, so it kind of, again, just proves the fact that he's innocent. Next on my list is Golem. I mean, come on, dude. That's gravy, baby. What would his motive even be? He ain't got nobody. He ain't got no friends. He ain't gonna fit in anywhere. I mean, he's a big rock, man. Love on my boy, bro. He'd never do something like that. I'm just vibing on his AirPods. Like, come on, bro. Maybe he was on a phone call, but that phone call was probably with Frank Ocean. Like, he's too chill. He risked his life to save Robert, too, from Famblay. So, I mean, no, bro. Bruno Mars Rock could never do that, bro. And if you even Google about it, there's not even any theories made up about Golem doing it. So if it is him, holy shit, the game just did great because nobody pre-fired that. It's not Waterboy. Let me go ahead and get this out of the way. Hold on. Before I mention anything else, it is not Waterboy. Shroud's photo has been shown by the devs since the very beginning. And I know you've probably seen this on the internet anyway, but I'm still going to get it out. It is not Waterboy. Speaking of Shroud's photo, that does lead me into my next person, Blonde Blazer. Shroud and Blonde Blazer do look very similar when she's in her Mandy form. And this is probably the most interesting storyline in my mind because I feel like it's the most feasible. Blonde Blazer seems like the perfect person. And if she was the one informing Shroud due to him being her brother, her dad, or some kind of distant cousin she only sees at Thanksgiving, it would fit the bill. It would be really good storytelling. Blonde Blazer is at everything. She's at the top of the chain. Anything of importance, she has it on her desk. She has it at her disposal. I feel like it would be dumb for Shroud to have all this information and it not be her. But if it was her, wouldn't Shroud have even more information? I think that's a valid theory, don't get me wrong. She's at the party, she's always dipping during the important stuff, or at least after it's discussed. While we're dispatching, she could be like giving him peak Diamond Siege callouts. She sees everything. Like, even down to what we dispatch. She always tells us how good of a boy we've been for her at the end of every dispatch. I mean, come on. But at the same time, like I said, she's been running the Z team. And how long has she been running it? When did Shroud start getting information? There's a lot of questions surrounding this that leave plot holes. Because if it was when the Z team started, it's definitely not her because it's somebody on the Z team. If it was before the Z team, when it was just she was working there, obviously that's her. It leaves a lot of unanswered questions that is needed to be answered for the answer. At least for me. And I couldn't find them looking it up. So I kind of mark her out in my mind a little bit. Now, it's still feasible. It's probably the most feasible on this list, along with another one that we'll get into in a minute. Moving on to the other love interest, Invisigal. I do not think it's her. Yes, obviously she gets attacked by Shroud's gang, like I mentioned earlier in the bar, which leads me to believe that maybe she was working with them and informing them of stuff, but I think the reason she would change her mind and quit is because of our old Rizzler Robert. I think she genuinely is falling in love and she sees a future with him. It's like the only person that's ever believed in her. She would definitely change her mind and go back on her deal, leaving exactly what happened to happen. Her getting attacked in the bar because she's not holding up her end of the deal because, again, she has interest in Robert. This would also back up the reason why Chase hates her so bad and he sees the evil in her, and you know what I mean. But maybe she changed. This is haphazardly backed up by the fact she's the only one with a big enough brain to find the pulse in the first place. Yeah, with some help from, I don't know, knockoff Moana, but you know what I mean. She was the number one to go like, okay, search the energy field. She's also the only dumb numbnut that wanted to go into the warehouse like a running raccoon and get the pulse, so maybe she isn't working with Shroud. I don't see her being that dumb enough to go somewhere she knew he was going to be going if she ever worked with him. But maybe there's some other informant. But that is hard to believe because how would you have two informants on the same team and them not know about each other? And it's just, it's a little flaky. But if there was going to be another informant, I would say it's Prism. Prism is always on her phone. Thank you to TK for pointing this out while we were playing. She's always on her phone during every cutscene. She's texting somebody, she's taking videos, the whole 9 yards. Even during Invisigal and Chase's scrap match, she recorded it. She seems like the person that would leave the team first if it was an option. So, to be honest, she's the most feasible in my mind. Now, to my knowledge, she has no ties or connections with any other gang, any other place, any other thing. No ties to her working with Shroud's gang. But again, I do see her more likely to inform just off of the shady texting she always does. She does it throughout the entire game. She's the first person to decipher the fact that Robert is Mecha Man. And I get it, she is a pop star. Maybe she's on her phone checking social media or watching her Diddy Party footage. But I'm telling you, it's super suspect. She's super suspect. She was also the least attacked during the bar fight, so maybe that's another thing. All they really did was throw a chair at her one time. But then again, she did permanently blind somebody, so I don't know. I don't think you would do that to teammates. Now, hold on. Everyone put on your tinfoil hat and hear me out when I say this. This is going to be the most rage-inducing and final theory of the video, but this is going to make your blood pressure go up as soon as I say it. Chase. Hear me out. I found this theory on the Steam community page, and it is actually so good. So I'm not saying I come up with this. I got to give credit where credit's due. He talks about how Chase is just as suspicious as Blonde Blazer is because, again, like I said earlier, they have all eyes and ears within the company. They know of everything going on. He talks about how that's probably why he's constantly shitting on Invisigal so he can protect Robert from Shroud, and maybe Chase is informing Shroud to protect Robert and make sure he's safe, keep Shroud from killing him. Obviously, I mean, Robert lives in a condo. He's not exactly living in the safest place. I don't think it would be very hard for Shroud to switch him down, especially knowing the fact that Chase and Robert have been like family. Also talks about how Chase is most likely to have sabotaged the Mecha Man suit because it had purple dust coming off of it, which I don't really know how that connects, but you know what I mean. I feel like maybe he had something to do with it. And it ended up putting Robert in the hospital just so he wouldn't recreate Shroud's greatest invention. And again, it would explain why he was so irritable at the party, because he knows that he's pretty much watching all of his friends get sent off to a death sentence. And the one thing he was trying to protect Robert from, he might go off and go get. And this is where the theory kind of falls off, and no hate to the guy that wrote it, but it kind of trails off into this other direction where he talks about how they were in the Brave Brigade together, and maybe Chase was using Shroud's technology to enhance his powers, and that's a side effect of increasing his aging, and that's why it wasn't happening before. And yeah, I'm not saying this is a terrible part. I just don't think it's very important, so I'm going to leave it out. It's on the screen if you want to read it, but it's really not that big. That's a crazy good theory. It would explain, again, why he's such a hater and why he wants Invisigal to leave everything alone and to, like, you know, not be around Robert, because I feel like Chase maybe wants to have the reins instead of Invisigal having the reins so he can keep Robert safe, protected, and not give him any ideas of to go look for the pulse or whatever and whoever and however. And maybe he was the one to go and tell Shroud about where the pulse is, and that's why he was so guilty and stayed behind trying to find Robert to apologize to him and be like, hey, make sure, you know, maybe make sure he doesn't go that night. And then his plans are soiled by Invisigal that goes and tries to get the pulse before everyone else. I see Chase taking it in a direction where he doesn't want to get anyone killed, and that's why I see him trading information for Shroud to leave everybody alone. Chase is a good guy at heart, and maybe that's why he's caught up in just a really tough situation. That's why he spends his last breath saving the one person he tried to keep away from a situation that was too dumb to not stay away. The one person he knew was crazy enough to just waltz in the damn building, he goes and saves, because again, he doesn't want the pulse taken. He wants to give it to Shroud for Robert's protection. That's a really good theory. Completely honest. Like, there's nothing, like, that's probably one of the best story arcs that could happen for the character, and it's just brain melting to envision. But there are little things that I'm like, I don't know. Obviously, I feel like he wouldn't want to give the pulse to Shroud because he knows, like, the inevitable doom that would happen pretty much for him having that. But if Shroud created it, then maybe he's like, okay, well, it's your creation and your invention, so maybe you won't do terrible shit with it, but Shroud is definitely doing terrible things with it. Maybe that's why he's so hell-bent on kind of making sure Robert doesn't want to kill Shroud. 1. 2, why he's kind of like, hey, you don't really need the Mecha Man suit to be a hero. You can just kind of, you know, be your own thing. You have nothing to prove anybody, because he knows that he doesn't really want him to have the Mecha Man suit back because Shroud will kill him for that. There's a lot of reasons why he would actually do this. But again, I don't really know. We'll know in about a week. When the next episode comes out, I'm sure we'll find out if there was an informant, if there wasn't. Let me know down below how you guys feel about these theories, and if you have anything better to add on. I just talked about everything that I could. I tried to mention everything that I could in this video, but this video is going to be so long, so I didn't want to say anything that I didn't have to, and it did cost me on the quality. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope I can make more videos like this, because it was really fun to discuss this stuff and really fun to make. But yeah, I'm done. But I have to say, I almost guarantee that Beef is the informant, if I'm honest, bro. He's mad sus, bro. He's mad sus.